Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann program. I am Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom, and we are having a wonderful discussion about drug prices. We're going to continue that, but we're going to do it through kind of a different lens. We're going to talk about how trade policies have been corrupted in part by the pharmaceutical industries, and how these trade policies are directly, if the TPP goes forward, would raise everyone's drug prices almost immediately. And to have that conversation, I get the privilege of speaking with one of the superstars of fighting these bad trade deals, Lori Wallach from Global Trade Watch. And Lori is joining us. And Lori, thanks for joining us. And I don't want to only talk about the pharmaceutical angle, but we were just spending a bunch of time talking about the rigged system that the pharmaceutical industry has set up here to keep our drug prices high. And I do want to maybe just start with saying, and they use these bad trade deals to try to export our rigged system around the world.
Well, not just that, but actually, in a way, they see the public is getting very upset about our outrageously high medicine prices, that increasingly Americans are facing rationing of medicine, and they know at some point Americans are going to reach a bubbling point, it's going to boil over, and Congress is going to act. And they see the TPP as a way to basically insulate themselves against accountability and the new policies that we will need in the future to bring down prices. TPP is like pouring wet cement all over the existing policies that have these exorbitantly high medicine prices and letting them lock into place.
So, Lori, I know we've had this conversation before. The TPP is like the latest round on this, and it is maybe it's like on steroids on nitroglycerin or something like that. But in fact, the pharmaceutical industry using these bad trade deals to push our rigged system around the world, it has a long history and is one of the reasons that we see the text of these secret bad trade deals before we're allowed to, as the hoi polloi, when they finally allow us to see what the corporate overlords have put together for us, is oftentimes it is global public health activists who release the text. And the reason they do this is because global public health activists have seen time, and treatment groups and patient rights group have seen bad trade deal after bad trade deal go into effect with a very clear and straightforward methodology, right? Like there is access to some medicines. Maybe there's generic production, compulsory licenses. Some countries have decided that treating people is to be put ahead of corporate profits. And these corporations use these bad trade deals to say, no. Legally now, you have to put our profits ahead of the public health of your people.
Well, what's in the TPP, were it to go into effect, are rules every single country has to put into their domestic laws. And that includes, for instance, a right for the pharmaceutical companies to get a second 20-year monopoly to charge any price they want on a new use for an old medicine. So they already had a 20-year license to basically charge ridiculous prices, and then they found out, ooh, this medicine for high blood pressure also makes your hair grow. Let's market it now as a hair growth medicine, 20 more years to charge whatever they want. It also requires that companies get extensions in their monopolies if they can claim there's any delay in getting a safety approval of a medicine. So if it's their own damn problem that there's a delay, they still can get an extension. There are rules that would require for those cutting-edge cancer drugs, the biologics, that not just the regular patent is in place, but that there are many more years of simply exclusivity, no access to anything about it to make it generic. And if all that weren't bad enough, the TPP has provisions that would give the pharmaceutical companies new rights for when government health programs are deciding what medicines will be included for reimbursements, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, and what prices they'll pay. Like if in the future we get the change we need where the government's actually bulk purchasing and negotiating prices under TPP, that would be a violation of the agreement. You have to use market prices, and the companies get a new role at the table with the doctors and the pharmacologists in trying to figure out how our government tax dollars even should be spent in those programs. Outrageous. And if we don't follow those rules, we face trade sanctions. So this is real. It doesn't have an expiration date. We can just never let it go into effect in the first place.
So, Lori, I'm going to get back to what can we do to make sure that we defeat the TPP. But last hour, I was talking with the executive director of Universities Allied for Essential Medicines, and we were talking about a system that the drug companies have created and perfected that works perfectly to advance the goal of shareholder value, right? Of them actually making as much money as possible. And how these high drug prices actually stifle innovation and invention because the drug companies do not compete on creating new drugs. They don't compete on real innovations. They actually spend their time negotiating things like the TPP because it's far more profitable for them to create these bad trade deals and lock in these monopoly profits for, decades and decades and possibly forever by just these, fake molecular tweaks. But I just want to point out to the conversation from last hour, this is what the pharmaceutical corporations spend their time on because they know this is how they make their money. They don't make their money coming up with new treatments, coming up with new cures. They make their money by corrupting the political process. They pour money into Capitol Hill. They pour money into getting the government to basically put forward a trade deal like the TPP, which would enshrine in enforceable law their profits going before the public health. So the TPP is bad on so many fronts, but it is also a perfect example of what these pharmaceutical corporations spend their time on. But Lori, I don't want to just keep going over the problem, especially with Thom's listeners and viewers know how noxious the TPP is already. What can we do? I actually am kind of confident right now because the outrage is real, but what can we do to ensure that this TPP does not even come up in the lame duck?
Well, I wouldn't be too confident, and I'll tell you why. So the good news is there is growing awareness that the TPP is not really a trade agreement. It's a corporate power grab. There's new awareness that even though the deal covers 40% of the global economy, it was negotiated in secret, and there were hundreds of corporate advisors at the table while the public was locked out. There's new awareness in the public that the key provision in TPP would grant thousands of foreign corporations the right to sue the U.S. government before a panel of 3 corporate attorneys to award unlimited sums to be paid for us, by us, the taxpayers, to those corporations. All of that is making people really mad. However, President Obama has indicated that he is dead set on having a vote on the TPP, and under the fast-track process, he alone can start a vote. And he has basically made as clear as possible that he intends to do that after the election in the lame duck Congress, when the retired and newly fired members of Congress get to come back with absolutely no accountability to their voters left and vote one last time. So he wants to have a vote in the session of Congress that starts on November 14th. And how we stop that, the only way we stop that, is before the election, we each have to make sure that every single one of our members of the House of Representatives take a position on TPP. And that's only going to happen if we get in their faces and make them do it. We need them to say they will oppose at the time when they are facing accountability from us before the election.
So what we need to do, Lori, as you're saying, is we need to get to the events while these members are while the public has our superpowers of the members of Congress caring about what we're saying. We need to get in touch with them when they're back in district. We need to get a camera on them, and we need to get them on record saying that they will oppose the TPP. And we need to do that now and not wait until the lame duck, because now is when there is a political price to pay.
That's exactly right. And folks, just to make clear how easy this is, and it's even kind of fun, go to the blue pages in the phone book or go online and find the local office for your member of the House of Representatives. And by the way, if you're not sure who your local House member is, you can just call the Capitol switchboard, 202-225-3121. Give them your zip code, ask to be connected to your House member. While you go over to that office, go ahead and leave a message telling your member of Congress you want a letter, snail mail letter, saying they're against the TPP. But then once you get to the office, say, "Hi, I'd like to see the member of Congress. Can you tell me some events where he or she will be in the district?" They typically, during election season, every weekend have 3 or 4 public events, and they also have office hours. My advice is go to one of those public events, even if it's a parade or a speech, go introduce yourself politely and smiling to the member of Congress, take their hand for a shake, and do not let go until you get an answer to the very simple question of, will you commit to me you will vote no on the TPP?
And this is a very real suggestion from Lori. I mean, this is something that works. During the election season, the members of Congress are in D.C. right now for September. As soon as they get some semblance of something around how they're going to fund the government, the minute they can do that, they're back home. They're going to get on the next plane, go back home, and do as many public events as possible from now until the election. And they will listen to you. You can go up to them. They represent you. Be polite. This is a real process of democracy. Say hello, introduce yourself, let them know why you care so passionately about the TPP, shake their hand, and don't let go until they give you an answer. Don't let them dodge away. But this is how democracy works. We're allowed to speak with the people who represent us. The only thing that I would add here, and I'm sure Lori agrees, is have your cell phone in your other hand, because it's really good to document this stuff.
The other thing to do, if that seems intimidating to walk up rolling live, is to ask that member of Congress for a letter. Have a little piece of paper or your business card with your name on it, and ask for a letter to be mailed to you, because these members do an enormous amount of those kind of constituent letters. And then if you can get it on paper, you will basically have just locked down your member of Congress. Now, here's the thing. All but, say, a handful of the Democrats are out against TPP. So it is worth reinforcing the ones that aren't already out, but there's a handful, a couple dozen, who still need to be locked down. But there are lots of Republicans who voted for fast track who are starting to come up the procedure for.
And Lori, in the final minute here,
to come out against TPP. So even if you have a Republican as your congressperson, ask them too.
In the final minute here, where can people find? Can they go to your website to find who is where? That information seems critical.
I think the best thing folks ought to do is go to exposethetpp.org. That's www.exposethetpp.org. It's a collective action website, and there is you can ask questions, leave questions. If you leave specific questions about your member of Congress, you get a response.
Thanks so much. Lori Wallach from Global Trade Watch. I am confident that we're going to defeat the TPP because it is such overreach, and the American people know that now. All we have to do is get people out there empowered and understanding that their elected representatives, they work for us, and together we can defeat the TPP. Lori Wallach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to be right back after this break. We're going to take your calls and talk about high drug prices. And I know you've been patiently waiting online. So we will be right back after this break.